Chapter 44. The severing spell begins. The mountain wind shifted. Decima stepped out of the cavern mouth, scroll still in hand, and felt it immediately. A ripple through the bond, sharp and wrong. Serenfae's wings twitched behind her. The air carried a bitter scent, like burnt wax and broken vows. Daniel hadn't arrived yet, and something was being torn. Serenfae turned her great head, nostrils flaring. "Do you feel that?" Decima nodded, her breath tightening. The bond between them, once a steady thread of warmth and magic, now flickered, like a flame choked by smoke. Somewhere someone had started it. The spell. Back in Caer Talwyn, High Witch Morwyn stood inside a black ring of salt and bloodroot, candles floating unnaturally still around her. She chanted with her eyes closed, the language old and ugly, scraping at the edges of reality. The others stood around her in silence. Not all the council, just the ones who had chosen to act. Regardless of vote or warning, the faction ready to end Decima Wren by any means. Far above them, the storm that had clung to the tower finally began to churn. Sever the soul, split the flame, break the bond that bears her name. The spell twisted through the earth like poison. Back on the mountain, Decima gasped and dropped to her knees. Her heartbeat raced. Magic spiraled around her, trying to lock her down, separate her from Serenfae, from the power that had become part of her skin. Serenfae roared, wings flaring in pain. "No," Decima said through gritted teeth. "They will not do this to us." She tried to rise, but her knees buckled. The scroll pulsed in her grip, not to help her, but to show her. Words glowed on the old parchment, unreadable at first. Then slowly, painfully clear. "If they sever you, you will shatter the world." The runes beside the warning shimmered, not in gold, but in red. A bloodline warning. A prophecy fragment. A threat. The wind screamed. Rocks trembled. Daniel felt it too, mid-flight on Tanwyll. His chest burned with pressure, his vision blurring. "Faster!" he shouted. "She's in danger." Tanwyll responded with a roar, wings slicing the sky. At the cliffside, Decima finally rose. Her eyes blazed. Magic coiled around her like smoke from a forge. "They want to take me apart," she whispered. Serenfae stood beside her now, leaning down to touch her forehead to Decima's. "They forget what happens," the dragon murmured, "when you try to destroy fire." Decima's body cracked with light, not breaking, becoming. Her veins burned gold. Her skin shimmered with embers. The severing spell reached her core, and met resistance. The bond pulsed. The mountain shook. And far below, in the depths of Caer Talwyn, the ritual faltered. Candles blew out. Bloodroot curled. Morwyn gasped, her voice strangled in her throat. "She's fighting it." Aderyn stood at the edge of the circle, watching the spell unravel. "No," she whispered. "She's rewriting it." The ground cracked open beneath the circle. Decima screamed, not from pain, but from the sudden, brutal pull tearing through her abdomen like unseen claws. Her body arched against the spell's force, her hands sparking, blood surging against a magic not her own. This wasn't the severing she had agreed to. Daniel's voice echoed from somewhere, distant, distorted, shouting her name. She couldn't answer, couldn't speak. Her bond with him still burned, alive. But something else, something new, was being pulled from her center. Her child. The spell had been turned. Merin's laughter rang through the chamber, low and cracked. "It's not the dragon I want severed. It's the bloodline, the crown, the storm you carry." She stepped from the shadows, her face half burned from the last encounter. But her smile was unbroken. "I've seen the flame growing inside you," she hissed. "You don't even realize what's forming. You think this child will be yours alone?" Runes flared beneath Decima's feet, dark, blood-soaked symbols reeking of Cono ink and stolen bone. The ritual had been twisted, hijacked. The council's magic was being reshaped in Merin's hands. "You're too powerful with him," Merin spat, gesturing toward Daniel. "But a child bound only to you, that I can take." "No." Decima forced the word from her throat, fire surging again through her limbs. She struck out with a wave of light, but the circle swallowed it whole. Her power was being consumed, funneled straight into the spell Merin had hijacked. And then, the light changed. A new sigil burned through the floor, intersecting Merin's. Sharp, ancient, not council-made. The air shimmered. 3 figures stepped into the chamber, veiled in gold-inked cloaks and masks of black wood. Not council, Not witches. The Cono. Enough, one of them said, voice vibrating with layered tones. Merin turned. Her defiance faltered. You can't be here. You invoked our ink, the second figure said. You stole from our vault. This spell bears our sigil. I was binding her. You overstepped. The third figure raised a hand. The air tore open in a vertical line, and the spell began to unravel, not fully, but enough to rupture the core. Merin screamed as her own soul burned. Fire ripped up her chest, her bones glowed beneath her skin, and she vanished in a cascade of sparks, her form wounded, unstable, her spirit half-torn. The Cono looked once to Decima, then disappeared, and the circle collapsed. Daniel caught her as she fell, her arms limp, her power flickering dangerously low. She tried to cut you off from the baby, he whispered. Decima clutched her stomach. No, she said. She tried to steal it. The wind did not calm. If anything, it roared louder, as if answering Decima's rage. But she didn't scream. As the severing spell clawed through her chest, Decima stood still, every breath a battle, every heartbeat louder than thunder. Her body trembled under the weight of it. But she didn't fall. She couldn't. The fire within her was too old for that, too ancient to break. She gripped the scroll tighter, the words on the parchment glowing like coals, searing themselves into her palms. The runes around her spun, faster and faster, until they lifted from the stone itself, orbiting her in a ring of molten language. Serenfae knelt beside her, wings spread in a shield. Don't hold back, the dragon said. They want to silence you. Show them why they never could. Decima's eyes opened, no longer just hers. Gold bled into the whites, then further, until her gaze was nothing but firelight. I see it, she whispered. The bond didn't just resist the spell, it reached through it. Across stone and soil, through wards and council walls, her magic connected to every dragon she'd touched, every piece of the old world that still remembered. She saw flames in the eyes of sleeping dragons. She felt the heartbeat of the land, pulsing in time with her own. And she saw herself, or rather what she was becoming. Wings of starfire, scales that shimmered in light and shadow. A form not fully human, not fully dragon, a soul born of both. The spell cracked. A pulse of magic burst from her chest, not outward, but inward. Every cell burned, her skin lit from beneath, and for a moment, the world fell silent. Then release. Flames erupted from her body, spiraling into the air. Not wild, not destructive, alive. They sang through the air, bending the trees, shaking the mountain roots. Above her, the clouds parted. Daniel arrived as the sky turned orange, fire blooming around the cliff like a crown. He leapt down from Tunwil, landing hard, running to her as the flames curved around him, touching but never burning. She looked at him with those glowing eyes, her voice distant but clear. They tried to end us. Daniel touched her face. They just made you unstoppable. The last of the severing spell collapsed, not undone, but consumed. A flame that would never die now lived in her veins. Behind them, the ground trembled. Dozens of dragons stirred in the distance. Wings unfolded. Magic returned. And in that moment, Decima wasn't afraid of what was coming. She was ready.